Well, this is a bit of a strange one. I was rummaging around underneath one of the shelves that's underneath one of my workbenches the other day. And right at the back, I spotted this rather bent up washing tab pot. Now, I save these because they're very useful for putting components in, particularly when you're stripping down steam engines, stuff like that. They're great. But this one was shoved at the back, and I thought, what the hell's this? I dragged it out. Well, I'll unpack the box and you can see what's in it. Yeah, what we have here is a stripped down and partially restored Mamod Minor 2. Now, I've only got vague memories of this. I think that this was part of a job lot that I got off of eBay. There was another Mamod engine, I can't remember which one, but it was the one that I wanted. And this Mamod Minor 2 came with that job lot. So obviously I've started to restore this. I mean, there's a little bit of surface rust on the base now, but this has been cleaned up. The boiler's been first stage cleaned, as has the engine frame. So I obviously started this and then got distracted by another project, which is quite normal for me. This happens all the bloody time. But I obviously put all the parts in this box, this plastic tub, and then it got put on a shelf, and then it must have dropped down behind the back of the shelf, and I'd completely forgot all about it. So, well, yeah, so I think, well, there's not an awful lot left to do, really, but I think I'm definitely going to get on and finish it off. Looking at it, the Firebox is in actually very good condition, and it's got the remains of the original Mamod decal on there, so I think we'll probably leave the Firebox, repaint the base, clean up the rest of it, repaint the engine frame, and hopefully get this one running. But I wonder how many other engines I've got in boxes that have disappeared over the years and I've yet to find them again. So yeah, cool, let's get on with it. Well, I finally managed to get outside and paint the base and the engine frame. We've had what seems like months of rain here in the UK, but it's now middle of April 2024, and the sun came out yesterday and we had a nice warm sunny dry day, so I was able to get out and do the painting. So it's pretty much ready to go back together. I've still got to do a final clean on the boiler. I haven't done that yet. I thought we'd have a quick look at this because it's quite easy to date, this one. Now, let me close in on the base. Now, as you can see from the base, the bent up tabs are designed to take the round wick tube type burner, such as this. Right. Now, I didn't have a burner with it, but that's one off one of my other Mamods. The point is that Mamod introduced the vaporizing burner, which is this, in 1958. So we know that this Mamod Minor 2 is prior to 1958. So that gives us our starting point. And next up, we can have a look at the decal on the Firebox. There we go. As you can quite clearly see, this is a rectangular decal. And Mamod changed from round decals to rectangular decals, I think, in 1957. So this engine was made sometime between 1957 and 1958, which is great. So we can accurately place this, which it's good because I don't have one from that time period, so that's nice. So like I said, all I've got to do now is get on and finish cleaning the boiler, and then we can put it all back together and hopefully get it running. The long lost Mamod Minor 2 is now finished. As I said before, this is I've done more of a sympathetic restoration on this. The base obviously was in quite bad state, so I assume it was anyway because I'd cleaned it off when I found it. So I've repainted the base, I've repainted the engine frame, but I've really pretty much just cleaned up the rest of it and left it as it was. As I said, there's a fairly good condition decal on one side of the Firebox. It's a bit burnt, but you can see most of it, so I've left that in place. I'm not going to mess about with that, and I've just cleaned up the rest of it. But as I said before, this was made between 1957 and 1958. But it's quite interesting for another reason. I'll stop it when we get here. And close in on the firebox. Now, as you can quite clearly see, it has the wire type boiler strap. And a few Mamods did have this. I've got another one upstairs. I think it's an SE2 with a wire type boiler strap. But some people, you might think, oh, well, you know, maybe it's been changed. Maybe it shouldn't be like that. Maybe it should be the flat copper strip type. But no, that's the correct strap for this engine, because the Firebox has the little notches cut in the top flaps here to allow for that wire to go through. And also the Fireboxes that have the thin copper strap type, they have a semicircular cutout here, because the bottom of the thin flat strip straps, try and say that quickly, comes out the side and you can see the mounting bolts, whereas with this type of Firebox and this type of boiler strap you can't, because they're inside the Firebox. So yeah, it's interesting for, you know, just for that alone. But it's turned out all right. I'm still very confused as to how it managed to disappear. So obviously the box that all the parts were in obviously fell down the back of a shelf many moons ago, because I don't remember. I can't remember how long ago it was that I got this. So yeah. So now all we've got to do is try and steam it. I will run it on air first, just in case it's got the dreaded Mamod slightly bent engine frame, which will impede its running, if not stop it completely. It looks okay to my naked eye, but that doesn't mean anything. It only needs a slight bend. The burner is one I've taken off one of my other engines. It was obviously missing the burner. But yeah, let's see if we can get this thing running. Well, the heat's on, and hopefully we'll be ready to go soon. Spent about an hour with it, with the air compressor, and when I first tried it, it would not run. Standard Mamod problems, really. The engine frame was slightly bent. I had to straighten that out. The mating face on the cylinder was in fact, lots of overfilled it, I think, by the sound of it. Mating face on the cylinder was in fact not flat, so that had to be flattened off. And there was some stiction on the piston, which I just used some 600 grade wet and dry. Light sanding on that helped that. Okay, I think we've got some steam pressure now. Yes, there we go. Off we go. Lovely. Yeah, it's one of those things with these Mamods. You really do have to check the engine frame and the cylinder very thoroughly, because otherwise you can't. These things just, it doesn't take much and they simply won't run. Also, as you've seen on many of my videos, it's all too easy to overfill the boiler. These don't hold much at all, these little Mamod Minors. But I do like them. I have a soft spot for these little engines, because for the vast majority of kids, a Mamod Minor would have been the first introduction to a steam engine. Being the cheapest in the Mamod range, you know, they're lovely things. And if you're a collector, they're great, because there's so many different versions of the same thing. And as I said, this one was lost, possibly years even. It's been missing for a long time, so I'm quite pleased to get this back up and running again. engine, the whole thing's canted over slightly, hasn't quite got that level. But it runs, that's what matters. The long lost Mamod Minor 2 running under steam for the first time in a long time. Yeah, lovely little engines. As I said, only a sympathetic restoration on this. Cleaning up mainly, a little bit of repaint on the base and the engine frame, but other than that, runs a treat. I'll turn the gas off. It will probably slow down and stop fairly quickly. Well, that about wraps it up. The long lost Mamod Minor 2. Just pays to look down behind the shelves in your workshop occasionally. Anyway, hope you've enjoyed the video, and thanks very much for watching. Cheers.